The Wizard of Oz is one of the greatest fantasy films of all time. I really like Oz the Great and Powerful because I like Sam Raimi. And then The Muppets Wizard of Oz is fun. I really like Return to Oz, and I have not seen The Wiz.
Hello, I'm Ryan Donato.
Hello, welcome back to another Hard Review, and I am here, of course, to talk about Wicked. Now, Wicked is the film adaptation of the Broadway show Wicked. That was with Christine Chenoweth and Idina Menzel. This is like a massively popular show. I know a lot of the music. In fact, Popular has been on my playlist for the longest time now. And The Wizard of Oz is clearly a franchise that I like and am very invested in, so what did I think of this film? I thought it was really good. It's 2 hours and 40 minutes and I felt engaged the entire time. At no point was I like, this is dragging, this doesn't feel necessary. Now, one thing I want to address with the runtime of the film is that this is a part one, which I don't really care for because I find it manipulative that you're calling the movie Wicked, but next year there's going to be a movie out called Wicked Part 2. So like in history, we're going to see Wicked and Wicked Part 2, kind of like Dune and Dune Part 2, where I think the difference there with Dune was that we didn't know we were going to get a second part to the Dune film. Wicked is a much bigger franchise and a much bigger property that we kind of knew what we were going to get here. So I just think that's really manipulative marketing because the average Joe, like my mom, didn't even know that this was supposed to be the first part. So people who either watch the show or just are going to see this are going to not understand. That being said, it does say Wicked Part 1 at the beginning of the film, which is super annoying because why is your film in the film titled differently than what's on the poster? Also, it does say to be continued ... at the end, so I guess it's pretty obvious to everybody that yes, there will be another part to this film. I think it's a brilliant idea to cut this stage play in half because this first part was really, really good, and I feel like it had plenty of content in it that I'm happy it wasn't rushed. I'm happy we got to develop the friendship between Glinda and Elphaba, and by the end of the film, I was like, okay, if it ended here, I would be okay. Like, I'd be fine. Like, yes, there's a lot more that I want to see, and I'm excited for a second part, and I need a second part. But God forbid, in some world where this financially flopped and we never got the second part, I could be content here. It is a satisfying conclusion to this story, while still, obviously, there's still more to be told and more to be done. Cynthia Erivo plays the Wicked Witch in this movie, and I think she's fantastic. Her character and the role just requires a lot of dramatic weight, and I think that she carries it very well, especially also the singing that she does in the movie is awesome because that's a role that as well requires a very talented singer, and she kills it, especially in Defying Gravity. Ariana Grande was the performance I was a little bit more impressed by. I think that she does good with the singing and everything. I just thought that her comedic chops, like we knew that she had them. I grew up watching Victorious. I didn't see much of Sam and Cat, but we know her as this very silly, goofy character actor. But she's more of a pop star, and she's been more of a pop star. So seeing her in this movie and holding her own with like actual actors and doing a great job, I think that that was really great. She's very funny. It's a very physical comedic performance, and I thought that that was great. Her character has more of an arc in this first part than Elphaba's character does, so I am going to lean towards Ariana Grande's performance over Cynthia Erivo's performance here. Now, when it comes to nominating, I think they're both leads, so that's kind of difficult. When it's all said and done, I don't know if I would nominate either. They're both very good performances. Jeff Goldblum, I thought was a miscast because while I do think that his vibe fits that character, he's clearly not a singer. Also, I think Jeff Goldblum has kind of gotten to the point where he's getting stereotyped, like typecast as himself. He is so much of a celebrity personality that you just plug him in and you say, just be you. Like, I feel like he's just doing the Grandmaster from Thor type bit. Like, oh, I'm the leader of this fantasy land and I'm actually like kind of corrupt and shitty. I also really like Jonathan Bailey and Ethan Slater in this movie. Michelle Yeoh and Peter Dinklage are very good as well. A lot of controversy was had about this movie because of the way that it looked, like the way that it was shot. It's very washed out, backlit. There's not a lot of color. It looks a little bit too grounded and real, which is kind of annoying because Wizard of Oz is one of the movies that is the most colorful. One of the most iconic moments in movie history is when it goes from black and white to color and she walks out and sees Munchkin Land. So I thought that that was kind of a weird choice. That being said, the sets are really wonderful. There's a few set pieces that I really, really like, specifically the one with all the clocks dancing through life. I thought was really fun. I came in a very big fan of Popular, and so I didn't really like when it was cut up with her doing little jokes jokes at the beginning. Like, I feel like they do that in musicals a lot where they know that you like the song, so they're like, oh, well, let me like interject some comedic things into it because we know that you're so excited about it. And I think it's just a case of like, I've listened to this song one way so many times that listening to it in this new way, it was kind of like, that's not how it's supposed to go. But I still think that she did a good job. The song that I added to my playlist that I didn't already have, which I only had popular before, was What Is This Feeling? I just like the whole loathing, unadulterated loathing. But Defying Gravity is also a wonderful number. This movie's really awesome. I felt like it was pulling on my heartstrings throughout. I really liked the relationship between Elphaba and her younger sister, who is in a wheelchair. She's just accompanying her to school, and then she kind of gets roped into being a student of Michelle Yeoh, and so this is kind of impeding on her younger sister's like life. She's trying to start anew, and it's clear that being the sister of the green Elphaba was a big hindrance in certain social sections. And I just found her little side plot to be very effective. I thought the special effects were pretty good. There was nothing like glaring that I thought was horrible. I didn't know how much animals were going to be involved in the narrative of this. I had listened to the soundtrack like maybe 2 years ago in full, but I don't know the whole story. I mean, I know the story of Wizard of Oz. But that's my biggest compliment to this movie, is they took a concept that we're very well aware of, showed it from a different perspective, made it feel fresh, made it feel new, and kept me engaged throughout. I thought this movie is really, really good. I'm going to go ahead and give it 4 stars. I really, really liked it. 4 with a heart. Make sure to check this one out in theaters. Thank you guys so much for watching this review. Like, comment, subscribe. Why don't you guys tell me what your favorite spin-off of Wizard of Oz is? Mine personally is Oz the Great and Powerful. I just really, really adore that. Another thing I want to bring up about Wicked is I'm really inspired by how successful that this movie is poised to be, because Broadway musical adaptations to film haven't really fared really well recently. I mean, even when Spielberg does it with West Side Story, it doesn't make any money and it wins very little awards. Cats was a disaster. Dear Evan Hansen was a disaster. In the Heights made no money. The Color Purple wasn't a hit. Mean Girls, maybe one of the bigger successes, and I really don't like that movie. Tick Tick Boom was good, but didn't receive enough awards acclaim. And it's on Netflix, so it doesn't make any money, obviously. So hopefully this film brings Broadway musical adaptations back to a more formidable place, because I really love musicals.